The night swallowed Blackridge like a living entity. The fog curled through the cracked streets, clinging to the gnarled trees and lampposts, hiding the rusted signs of abandoned shops and the skeletal remains of vehicles from decades past. Elijah Morris stepped off the rickety taxi that had dropped him at the edge of town. The driver had refused to come closer than the intersection, muttering under his breath about the house on the hill and things that shouldn't be disturbed. Elijah ignored him, gripping the strap of his duffel bag, trying to suppress the tremor in his hands. His father's house loomed ahead, a hulking silhouette against the night sky. Windows gaped like empty eye sockets, paint peeled like scabbat over wounds, and the wooden porch sagged as if weighed down by decades of despair. The air smelled of rot and damp leaves, a smell so pungent it made Elijah gag. He took a deep breath, forcing himself forward, each step on the gravel crunching with a hollow finality. Inside, the house was worse. The floorboards groaned under his weight, echoing through the hollow halls like distant screams. Dust motes floated in the beam of his flashlight, glinting like tiny spirits dancing in the gloom. He passed the living room, where a crooked portrait of his father hung above the fireplace. The eyes seemed to glimmer, following him. A cold draft whispered across his neck, making him shiver. Something was here. Something was watching. The first hour passed in uneasy silence. Then came the scratching. At first faint, like claws dragging across wood, then louder, more insistent, echoing from below. Elijah froze, his heart thundering. The basement door had always been locked, and he remembered his father's warnings, never go down there. His hand shook as he lifted the rusted latch, the metallic screech slicing through the silence like a scream. Descending, the wooden stairs groaned under each step. The basement smelled of decay, mold, and something far fouler metallic, sweet and nauseating. Crates and broken furniture were stacked haphazardly, shadows twisting in the beam of his flashlight. Then he saw it, streaks of dried blood leading to a corner where the wall had deep, claw-like scratches etched in the plaster. Elijah's stomach churned. A whisper slithered through the room. "Elijah." The voice was soft, almost seductive, but thick with malice. He turned, flashlight trembling in his hands. Nothing. Only shadows that seemed to pulse, grow, and breathe. Then came the movement, a flash of pale skin, twisted bones, and glowing yellow eyes. The creature crouched in the darkness, teeth jagged, slick with dried blood. It emitted a wet, guttural growl that vibrated through the stone walls. Elijah stumbled backward, tripping over a broken crate. His flashlight rolled across the floor, illuminating glimpses of the creature's grotesque, form-elongated limbs, spindly fingers ending in sharp claws, and skin stretched unnaturally tight over bones. It lunged. He scrambled to his feet, smashing the crate against its head. The creature screeched, recoiling, leaving a smear of dark ichor across the concrete floor. He bolted upstairs, heart hammering, breath ragged. Behind him, the scratching and growling intensified, echoing through the house like a chorus of nightmares. Elijah slammed the basement door shut, leaning against it as the vibrations of the creature's rage rattled the wood. It had been waiting, patient and malevolent, for this moment. Climbing toward the attic for weapons, Elijah found his father's old journals, pages yellowed and crumbling. The handwriting was frantic, almost illegible in places. Rituals, warnings, and descriptions of a creature bound to the house, feeding on blood and fear. One page chilled him to the bone. "It can smell your terror. It thrives on it. Do not look. Do not run." A crash shattered the silence from below, rattling the attic window. Shadows flitted beyond the glass, moving with an unnatural, jerking motion. Elijah's breath caught in his throat. He gripped a heavy candlestick, reading the journal aloud in a trembling voice, each word scraping against his tongue. The shadows twitched, recoiling slightly, As if the words carried power, the attic door creaked. Heart in his throat, Elijah braced for the inevitable. And then darkness swallowed him entirely. Darkness consumed Elijah. The attic felt alive, breathing around him. Every shadow seemed to stretch toward him, tendrils of blackness curling like fingers. His heart pounded, ears ringing with a wet, rasping sound coming from all directions. He could feel the creature's presence, heavy and malevolent, in the air, smelling his fear, savoring it. The low growl began again, rising into a cacophony of snarls and screeches. From the corners of the attic, forms emerged, twisted silhouettes with limbs bent at grotesque angles, skin pale and glistening as though coated in sweat and blood. Their faces were skeletal, jaws stretching wider than possible, teeth jagged and dripping. One lunged, slamming into Elijah with a force that sent him sprawling across the floor. Pain exploded along his ribs, breath knocked out of him. He swung the candlestick blindly, striking one in the skull. Its head cracked under the impact, spraying dark ichor across the floorboards. Another dug claws into his leg, tearing through flesh and muscle with a wet, ripping sound. Elijah screamed, pain mixing with sheer terror, the metallic taste of blood flooding his mouth. He kicked, punched, anything to break free. The creatures multiplied, slithering out of the shadows, emerging from the walls, from the ceiling beams, surrounding him in a writhing mass of gore. Elijah remembered the journals. Desperation overrode terror. Flipping to a page marked with bloodstains, he read aloud a ritual in his father's frantic, trembling handwriting. Strange syllables, guttural and raw, scraped across his tongue. The shadows shrieked and hissed, recoiling from the words as if burned. Some of the smaller creatures fell back, bodies twitching violently, blood leaking from their mangled forms. But the largest one, the true monster, emerged from the basement, dragging itself upward, taller than any man. A grotesque fusion of human and beast. Its skin hung in strips, exposing raw muscle and sinew. Eyes glowed molten gold, and its mouth stretched impossibly wide, teeth jagged and slick with coagulated blood. Each step made the floorboards groan and splinter. Its claws, coated in gore, scraped along the stairs, leaving deep gouges. The stench of decay and burned flesh filled the attic, making Elijah gag. Adrenaline surged. Elijah grabbed the candles and old bottles of alcohol he had found. Dousing the floor and stairs, he lit them with trembling hands. Flames roared to life, licking the monster's feet. It screeched, a sound that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Smoke curled around its body, skin sizzling, patches of flesh burning and smoking. But it didn't retreat. Its glowing eyes locked on him, teeth bared, saliva dripping like molten metal dot. Elijah had no choice. He leapt onto the creature's back, plunging the flaming candlestick into the thick of its spine. It shrieked, a high-pitched, bone-rattling sound that reverberated through the house. Flames licked its body, smoke curling in dense clouds. The creature thrashed violently, blood and ichor flying in every direction, painting the walls and ceiling in dark, sticky streaks. Elijah clung on, teeth gritted, heart pounding in his ears. As the monster's roars filled the night, the house responded violently. Floorboards splintered, beams cracked, dust and debris raining down. The walls themselves seemed to groan, alive with rage. The smaller creatures writhed, their screeches blending with the massive monster's roar, creating a symphony of pure terror. Elijah struggled to stay on its back, dragging the candlestick again and again, until with a final ear-splitting shriek, the creature collapsed. Its body smoldered, twitching, a grotesque heap of burning flesh and shredded cyane. Silence followed, heavy and suffocating. Elijah collapsed to the floor, trembling, bloodied, lungs burning, the acrid stench of smoke and iron filling his senses. He glanced around. The shadows were gone, but the house felt hollow, empty, as if it were watching. Waiting outside, dawn was breaking, weak and gray. Elijah stumbled down the steps, clutching his father's journal, blood smeared on his hands. Behind him, the house loomed like a living sentinel, windows like empty eyes watching his every movement. He knew the darkness hadn't left it lingered in the edges of his vision, whispering his name, promising that it would return. Some doors, once opened, never truly close. And in Blackridge, the shadows never sleep. Elijah walked away, each step heavier than the last, the weight of horror pressing down like a living thing, knowing that he would never escape what he had unleashed.
Please like and subscribe channel Fear Frequency for more horror stories. Thank you.